But an all-important consideration for staff is how they can support the very sickest patients and their families and give, in many cases, some dignity in death. We're going to talk to Dr Dominic Pimenta. He's normally a cardiology registrar. He's now working in intensive care at St Bartholomew's Hospital in London. Dr Pimenta, thanks very much indeed for talking to us on BBC Breakfast this morning. I guess, first of all, obviously you're not at work right now, but when you left at the end of your last shift, how were things in your intensive care unit?
Yeah, everybody's doing really well. We're doing the best that we can. Obviously, I've moved into an entirely new specialty, but the response has been pretty amazing. People are very, very flexible, and we're doing, as best we can in the situation, and so far coping very well.
So how's the change been for you from being a registrar in cardiology to going into ICU? I mean, I guess you may have come across it at some point during your training, but you're really in it, and very much submerged in it now.
Yeah, so I've done a little bit in my training, and for us, it's potentially a smaller jump than some of our colleagues. I think for doctors especially, it's not necessarily a big jump because we're used to moving departments, we're used to doing new things. I think we should really be very thankful for the amazing efforts of the nursing staff for this. For some of them, who's a massive jump, who don't often have worked in intensive care and are very much embedded in specific specialties with a specific team. So the upheaval that they've undergone is amazing, and I am in awe of what they're doing. And
what sort of challenges are you finding at the moment in the unit where you're working?
So obviously, it's a very tricky time at the moment. There's incredible pressures, and everybody's adapting as best we can. We're always looking for novel solutions to tricky problems, and the sort of public goodwill, the support that we've had. We've been getting food donations and public gifts of Easter eggs and chocolates, which has actually made a really, really big difference. Part of the organisation that I'm involved with, which is called Heroes, we do that on a sort of national scale, trying to get food and donations and trying to support NHS workers on the front line. And actually, as a frontline doctor myself, that does actually make a really big difference day to day.
The issue of personal protective equipment is one which has been around for weeks now. Are you getting sufficient where you are?
So I'm in intensive care, and we're incredibly well protected. But part of my organisation is we belong to a wider organisation called SHIELD, and what we're doing is a group of collaborative organisations of industry experts, engineers and manufacturers is looking at some novel ways to try and augment this need for personal protective equipment. Certainly, anecdotally, nationally, there are pockets of need, and we're trying to address that, not just in hospitals, but in hospices, in GPs, in care homes. We supplied some masks to a hospice recently because it was threatened with closure. So there are some severe areas of shortages. One of the things that we've been looking at is novel methods for reusable personal protective equipment, specifically visors. I mean, I've got one of our visors here, right here. So these are 3D printed. We have a hub in London that we opened this week, which can produce 1,700 visors a day. And with material support from the goodwill through the charitable organisations, we can continue to do that.
It's fantastic work that your organisation, that Heroes, is doing. Just on a personal level, I know doctors, I've come across friends over the years who are doctors, and some of the things you see are the kind of things that most of us can't imagine. But what sort of a personal toll is this taking on you and on your colleagues?
That's a very difficult question. So I think before I was quite so busy, so obviously running this organisation is like another full-time job. The days at work were hard, but the downtimes were probably harder in that there's a feeling of, and I suppose the whole country is feeling the same, of powerlessness, of wanting to help, a frustration to want to help and not being able to do all that you can do. So part of the reason that we started what we're doing right now is on a wider level to harness that energy from the public, but on a personal level, just to keep busy, because you sort of have to keep going and keep thinking about these things to fill your time in a way that is productive and can feel like you're contributing as best you can.
And just one final one, if I may. I mean, obviously, you're normally a cardiologist, a registrar cardiologist. it's important to stress, isn't it, that although you're working in intensive care at the moment, the NHS is still open for people who have heart problems and other problems. They must still come to hospital and access the services as they need them.
Yeah, and absolutely. If you're in any way worried about your health, you must still access health care as you need, especially in the heart emergencies. We're definitely still open for business. If you're having a heart attack, if you have a valve problem, there is cardiology care for you everywhere in the country. And any problem, there is care for you anywhere in the country. The NHS is never closed. We're doing as much as we can, but we can always look after everybody as best we can. So please, please do not delay coming to hospital.
Well, I hope you know, and I think you do from all the Easter eggs that you've been receiving, that we are enormously grateful to you. And thank you very much, Dr Dominic Pimenta, for talking to us this morning as well.
Thank you very much.
And here's Sarah with a look at this morning's weather. Hi, Sarah.
Good morning to you, Seema and Roger. Yes, it's a fine start to the day. For Easter Sunday, the sun has now risen. This is one of the pictures taken from one of our weather watchers from their back garden in West Sussex. So some clear skies out there. Won't be dry throughout the day. We have got some heavy showers in the forecast. And the thing that we'll all notice